Welcome to Fright Night for real. That's right, it's time for another review, and tonight I'm doing 1985's Fright Night. Directed by Tom Holland, who also directed Child's Play. This is my number 2 vampire movie of all time. Fright Night stars Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, Amanda Bierce, and William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster. And what can I say about this movie? It's phenomenal. And you also saw Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent, vampire killer. And what I love about this movie is the fact that you have so many of the, vampiric lore mixed with some 80s cheesiness in it as well. And that is right up my alley. And one of the opening scenes that makes me love this movie so much is the first time, Charlie starts to suspect Jerry. He sees this very tall, beautiful young lady, has this very tall, beautiful young lady come up and ask him if this is such and such address, and he's all, no, that's next door. And the next morning, he sees Jerry Dandridge's housekeeper carrying out a huge sack. And he's like, wait, that's big enough for a human body. And then Jerry gets himself invited into Charlie's house, which is the whole, vampires can't enter unless you invite them, vampiric lore. And he threatens Charlie. He's all, look, dude, if you leave me alone, I'll let you be. But if you don't leave me alone, I'm gonna fuck your world up. And that's when Charlie stabs him through the hand with the pencil. And you start to kind of see Jerry mid transformation there. And start to see what he really start to see the vampiric creature. And there I loved I loved the whole premise that his bat form was a giant fruit bat, not a a vampire bat. And he tells Charlie, he's like, I'm gonna give you I just wrecked your car, Charlie. Now everybody that you care about and that you hold dear is going to suffer for your fuck up. And one by one, he keeps his promise. First, he goes after Charlie's best friend, Evil Ed. And manages to turn him. And then he sets his sights on Charlie and his girlfriend. And throughout the whole movie, it's just this cat and mouse game where Jerry is like, I'm coming to get you, Charlie, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's when we get introduced to Peter Vincent. Charlie has nowhere else to go. So he goes to the host of Fright Night, which is the whole premise of Fright. Fright Night is a movie TV show that is on that Charlie is madly in love with. So he goes to the host of Fright Night and he goes, I need your help. I have a vampire who's trying to kill me. And Peter Vincent's like, dude, you're fucking nuts. So Charlie's like, I'll pay, Charlie's like, well, fuck. I have nowhere else to go. So Charlie's girlfriend and Evil Ed go and they're like, you need to help Charlie. We'll pay you. And so Peter agrees, and when he goes there to test if Jerry is a quote-unquote vampire or not, he gets more than he bargained for when he finds out that Jerry really is a vampire because he casts no reflection. And this movie was great. I don't want to tell you how this movie ends, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, you need to go out and buy this movie. It is that good. Trust me, it'll be well worth whatever you spend on it. And I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. It's not Lost Boys good, but it's one notch below. And I gave Lost Boys a 10 out of 10. Call me a fanboy. Call me what you will, but I love Lost Boys. It's my favorite vampire movie of all time. So, Fright Night to me gets a 9 out of 10 just on the combination of, A, vampiric lore, B, just 1980s, horror comedy, which this is more horror than comedy. And I have to give them extra credit points for Peter Vincent. Two of the greatest Halloween horror actors in the history of horror are in this guy's name. Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. And those are two staples for anybody who wants to get into horror.